What's up? How y'all doing? It's Lugermonger. This time, Kershaw. I like Kershaw boxes. That's a good looking box. Knockout. This is the Knockout Elmax. It's got a blade length of 3.25 inches. The blade thickness is 0.11. It's got a closed length of 4.6 inches. The overall length is 7.9 inches. The weight's 3.4 ounces. The handle thickness is 0.39 inches. So it's damn little guy. The MSRP on the 14C28N version of this is $119. The MSRP on this version here with the Lmax Steel blade is $155. I love this knife. Kershaw Knockout is again a fantastic name for this because they knocked it out of the park with this knife. This knife is just I really like it. It's not honestly very often that a knife will compare in my mind to a Griptilian. Okay? This is my preferred carry. If I could only have one knife for EDC that was a folding knife, I would pick a fixed blade if I could. But if it could only be a folding knife, it would be a Benchmade Griptilian. Even in all the Benchmade lineup of all their hard use knives. But this knife, I would still choose the Griptilian, okay? But this knife is one that would make me think twice. It feels fantastic in the hand. You can see the way they've done this flipper. The angle of the flipper here leads it to being very comfortable for just kind of sweeping open, and it protrudes out flat. Okay, a lot of the times that they have this protrusion, that a lot of companies will design that into the knife, but as it protrudes out, it's more at an upwards angle or at a downward angle. So it at a downward angle is nice for defensive use, but it doesn't have the best feel when you're actually using the knife. The way they have this designed, it just melts into your hand. This thing feels fantastic. And no matter which way I hold it, it actually feels very good in a reverse grip as well. If you're holding it in a reverse grip, because of the way that the handle is at an angle from the actual cutting edge of the blade, it leads itself to being angled inward in a reverse grip, which is actually fantastic for a defensive situation, any type of slash cutting you have to do. That's really, I mean, the thickness of this blade. You can see here, again, I'm going to compare it to this Benchmade Griptilian. The Griptilian doesn't have the widest blade out there, but this Kershaw Knockout has a fat blade. Yeah, it is. The thumb studs, I'm not a fan of the thumb studs. They're too big, I think, is the actual problem, because you don't get enough purchase on it. They work, you know what I mean? I've never actually had my thumb slip off. I've never had it fail to work, but it's just not as nice as I would like. You can see this insert liner lock. That's another kind of problem that I have with it. It's an aluminum handle knife, so the fact that they did put in that steel liner is fantastic. That's really necessary when you're using such a hard steel like something like Elmax. It's gonna beat the crap out of that locking bar and the actual lock. But the way that they've mounted it in here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it to come across on camera. It's not mounted in there as secure as I would like. It's got like a rat tail kind of tang going down with two screws that actually mount this locking bar into the whole mechanism here. So that's the weak point on this. The lock is not the weak point on the closing of this knife. It's that little piece right there, because if that comes undone, this whole lock is going to come loose and come out. So that, again, I've never had that happen. I've never seen anyone report that happening. I've never seen or heard a problem with that, but in my opinion, I think that's the weak point on this knife. I love the way that they've done the aluminum scales. There's only texturing on one side, which makes it just slip in and out of your pocket fantastically. It is a very wide blade, so it does take up a decent amount of pocket real estate as far as the way it's fat, but it's very thin. So sitting down, moving, walking around, It's very comfortable. You don't notice it, but when you have to stick your hand in your pocket, you kind of got to fish it past it a little bit. It is kind of, you know, in that manner. The assist on it is fantastic. I love the way that the assist actually opens. I've de-assisted a lot of my Kershaw knives. Excuse me. But this one, I would never want to de-assist, because really it does have a detent, but it doesn't seem to actually do anything. Let me see if I can get a good angle here. You can see that it doesn't, there's really no detent. It's mostly just spring tension, keeping that knife in there, keeping the blade locked into the closed position. So I do think that this really does suit itself to utilizing that assist better than a lot of other knives do. So the pocket clip is adjustable for tip to tip down carry. It's only right-handed. You know what? No, it's not. That tip is it is fully adjustable, right to left-handed tip down, tip up carry. That's a really nice feature, actually. The pocket clip is a deep carry pocket clip. It's a ZT pocket clip, actually. This is I've seen this particular clip on more ZT knives. It just has a different coating. It has ZT printed on it, but it's the same pocket clip that they use. It works phenomenally. I love it. This knife sticks out of your pocket very, very little. You know, it just got that little tiny bit exposed, just enough to grab onto, just enough to make it deploy quickly. Again, I wouldn't like to use anything with a liner lock for hard use. Some people are going to hate that statement. I do just prefer an axis lock. It might not be safer, honestly. I don't know, but I've got that. There's a mental block that I've got, that if I really need to beat on a knife, I want that axis lock. Who knows? This thing may be able to hold 15 times more weight. I have no idea. But I really like this knife. You can see it's got a little bit of scratched up on it from the keys, but it has held up pretty well. This I don't know what this coating is that they put on here, but it's held up very well. Pocket clip hasn't, obviously, but they never do. That's the Kershaw Knockout in Elmax Steel. Elmax is fantastic. I haven't even mentioned that at all. Elmax is a really nice steel. It takes a really good edge, but it's hard to sharpen. Out of any of the steels that I've dealt with, M390, S30V, this is the harder to sharpen. Any of the super steels. S30V is not a super steel. S90V is what I meant to say. Sorry. At any of the super steels that I've dealt with, this has the worst rated edge retention. I do understand that, and it's actually harder to sharpen. But at the same point, it does hold an edge for a very long time. It holds a fantastic edge, and the ratings, if you read some information on Elmax, it's got a chromium content of 18%, and then it's got some other alloying elements to make it extra, even more corrosion resistant. So it is a very corrosion resistant knife, just in that fact, and it does hold a really nice edge. So I am a fan of Elmax. That's a Kershaw Knockout. Knocked it out of the park. Y'all have a good one.